No, I actually like Caitlin. And I'm just being real and truthful. She has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions of eyes onto the W and onto women's sports.
Although Sophie Cunningham has never been one to hold back, her most recent disclosure about Caitlin Clark is shocking the WNBA. You also need to keep in mind that if it were not for the WNBA by now, she may be playing. Put an end to the rumors that you are leaving or going abroad. Sophie just provided an unvarnished explanation that goes beyond any report on injuries. What she revealed highlights the unrelenting pressure, unrealistic expectations, and harsh realities that the league's top player must deal with. This has nothing to do with hype. It is about getting by. Take a seat as we explore Sophie's startling revelation and its implications. The voice that will not shut up. Sophie Cunningham has taken a more difficult route in a league where being honest has a cost and being silent is often rewarded. Sophie has established herself as the WNBA's most unvarnished truth teller. While other players adhere to prepared responses and cautious PR spin, she is really footing the bill. She was penalized thousands of dollars by the league in 2024 alone for speaking out loud what many players only mutter in private. It all began with a TikTok post criticizing dubious officiating, a single remark that took $500 out of her salary, or is it sluggish? Perhaps it is pointless. She then lost an additional $1,500 due to a podcast piece that revealed contradictory calls. Will the WNBA come after me for not paying the fine for first episode? If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video. They fined me $1,500. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is only the beginning. Like, you're joking. And when she went a step further, daring to accuse the league of open partiality, the penalty amount wasn't even released. In the hopes that the message was obvious, they just smacked her with another fine and went on. Quit talking and go play. Sophie, however, will not participate in that game. She is very harmful to the current quo because she never stops talking. Consider it. The annual salary range for WNBA players is around $64,000 to $242,000. A $1,500 punishment is comparable to losing 2 weeks of rent or a portion of their off-season salary for many athletes. Almost anybody would be silenced by such a monetary penalty. However, Sophie continues to persevere, endure setbacks, and inform supporters of the true state of affairs inside the league. She is no longer simply another athlete expressing annoyance after a difficult game. Because of this, she has emerged as the league's unofficial whistleblower, a player prepared to face penalties, criticism, and even career setbacks in order to expose the truth. The reason her voice carries so much weight is her reputation. Fans know Sophie's words are not just speculation or a desperate attempt to grab attention. They come from someone living the reality inside the league. Her willingness to keep speaking despite the consequences lays the groundwork for everything that follows. That is why her remarks about Caitlin Clark are so significant. Sophie is not inventing a story. She is bringing difficult truths into the open that the league would rather keep hidden. Was she accusing the league of preventing Clark from returning, or was she hinting at unspoken pressure? The answer changes everything. For weeks, the biggest question surrounding the WNBA has been, when will Caitlin Clark return? Reporters have pressed coaches, players, and league officials for a clear timeline, while fans have searched every update for answers. Instead, they have heard only vague responses such as, we'll see next week, day by day, and there's currently no update. That uncertainty only fueled more speculation. Then, during her show, Sophie Cunningham changed the conversation with one simple statement. If it were not for the WNBA, she may be playing. You also need to keep in mind that if it were not for the WNBA, by now she may be playing. Those words landed like a thunderclap because they did not come from a fan on social media or an outsider guessing from the sidelines. They came from someone inside the league. They originated from a member of the league who is familiar with the harsh realities of what it takes to compete at this level. Sophie's comment was more than unexpected to Caitlin Clark's millions of followers. It was concerning. Consider what Sophie said. This goes beyond Caitlin's requirement for more time to heal from an injury. It has to do with the setting she is attempting to return to. Sophie was really clear. It is not a sign of weakness or lack of toughness because Caitlin is not present. It has to do with the WNBA's harsh standards. Caitlin was dominant at Iowa. She sold out venues, attracted record crowds, and raised TV ratings to all-time highs as the face of college basketball. She was a generational talent because to her range, vision, and ability to alter games on her own. However, Sophie disclosed that such achievements do not always transcend to the WNBA. You cannot merely be excellent here. You must be perfect. Additionally, the league will devour you if you are not prepared on a physical, mental, and competitive level. That was a shocking revelation. Sophie was not disparaging Caitlin's abilities. Most people did not want to hear the reality that she was revealing. Even a superstar like Caitlin Clark needs more time to adjust to the pressure of the WNBA. It is a survival issue rather than an emotional one. Sophie emphasized how harsh this league has grown abroad, or even in college, by pointing out that Caitlin may already be playing somewhere else. Caitlin may already be impressing fans on the court, but in this case, the expectations are so high that a hasty return might endanger not only her season, but her career as a whole. Sophie's remarks struck with such intensity because of this. She was not only providing fans with updates, pulling back the veil on a league that could be too cruel even for its most brilliant star. She was raising an alarm. What chance does anybody else have, however, if the WNBA is thus harsh on a generational star like Caitlin? To discover out, keep watching the WNBA's cruel standards. Sophie Cunningham was not lying when she suggested that Caitlin Clark may be playing if it were not in the WNBA. She was drawing attention to a reality that the majority of fans only saw on the surface. However, every night athletes feel in their bones. The WNBA is more than simply college basketball on a higher level. It is a whole other universe. Furthermore, good is insufficient in our cosmos. Caitlin Clark was untouchable at Iowa. She was unstoppable against college defenses because of her talent, range, and vision. However, the defenders in the WNBA are more aggressively physical, quicker, and stronger. Every athlete on the floor used to be the top players in her program. Every slot on the roster belongs to someone who fought their way through years of fierce competition in order to make it. And Sophie said it plainly. Being talented is not enough at this level. You must be perfect. Fans paused as she spoke about the league. WNBA games can felt more like rugby to Sophie than hoops. There is continuous touch. The blows are more forceful. Players freely discuss how they need armor to get through a season. As officials, they allow significantly more contact than spectators are aware of, fostering a culture where being rough is required. It is required. Imagine returning to that type of stage after an injury. Stars are gradually reintroduced in the majority of leagues via minute limits, additional referee protection, and other measures. However, there is very little room for mistake in the WNBA. A comeback may be stopped before it starts by one mistake, one hesitancy, and the brutality of the league. Sophie was exposing that harsh standard. Caitlin may already be back on the floor overseas. She would most likely be playing by now if she were in college. But in the WNBA, hurrying back would put much more at risk than a few poor performances. Brain injury, a decline in self-esteem, or even professional failures might result from it. Here's the crucial information. Sophie was not referring to Caitlin as soft. The exact opposite. She clarified that there is no doubt about Caitlin's toughness and work ethic. She was drawing attention to the severe nature of the WNBA. The league is at its deepest point ever. The battle is intense from the starting five to the last bench position. No easy matchup or weak link exists. Every possession is a struggle. Additionally, each participant has the ability to reveal even the tiniest flaw. Sophie was referring to the same truth when she said that Caitlin's absence is not simply about healing. Caitlin's lack of heart is the reason she is not sitting out. Because anything less than 100% preparedness is a certain way to fail in the modern WNBA. She is sitting out. The league does not allow players enough time to get into a rhythm. They must come prepared, or else they run the danger of being completely engulfed. And Sophie's bombshell revolves around it. Caitlyn's predicament goes beyond a personal hardship. It reflects how the league has changed throughout time. Even generational stars now need extra time to thrive in the fiercely competitive, physically demanding and merciless WNBA. It is a harsh standard. Furthermore, it may not even be sustainable. As Sophie said, the two-tier system and favoritism. Biting her tongue has never been Sophie Cunningham's style. Furthermore, her criticism of the WNBA was motivated by irritation with what she saw as a risky habit rather than resentment. For her, the league's demanding requirements were not the only problem. It was the unequal application of such obligations. She said that although some athletes had protection and cushioning, others were forced to suffer unrelenting physical abuse without assistance from authorities. She described it as a two-tier structure. The most obvious instance was when J.C. Sheldon drove into Caitlin Clark and struck her in the face during a heated battle. It was not nuanced. It was careless, blatant, and had the potential to marginalize Clark once again. However, the authorities downgraded it after reviewing it. A blatant one, the type of penalty more appropriate for a negligent bump than a potentially harmful blow. Shortly after, Marina Mabrey used both hands to push Clark, causing her to fall to the floor. Just a push, no effort at the ball, no pretense of a basketball motion. And the reaction? No dismissal, no grave repercussions. The message was quite obvious when crew chief Ashley Gloss defended the decision, saying it did not qualify for an expulsion. Clark was by herself. That inaction was just what Sophie had long warned against. By speaking out loud about what players and spectators saw, she had already jeopardized her finances and reputation. She spoke about how officiating tainted games on her podcast, describing encounters in which certain stars seemed to be shielded from harm while others had little respite. She gave the example of Paige Buchers, remembering a night when whistles seemed to follow her everywhere. Sophie said that you were physically unable to touch her. It was not resentment of Paige's skill. Sophie acknowledged that fairness and the legitimacy of a league that professed to maintain integrity, yet openly displayed partiality, were at issue. It was hard to overlook the disparity in Caitlin Clark's situation. The rookie was not your average player. The league itself relied on her to draw in new supporters. She was the one who packed venues and was the subject of constant conversation among commentators. However, she was thrown into the fire rather than being protected to assist her transition into the most difficult phase of her career. Her introduction included all the collisions, shoves, and no calls. Seeing it happen in real time was the tipping moment for Sophie. Sophie stood up late in the same game after seeing Clark take blow after blow. Cunningham pulled Sheldon down as she attempted a layup. Intentional and unrepentant. The play was not about basketball. It conveyed a message. She and her colleagues would defend their star if the authorities refused. She did not back down or act any differently after the last beep. She acknowledged what everyone was previously aware of. This was retaliation. The league remained silent for years. This was the result of years of authorities disregarding risky hits. Sophie's actions went beyond simple revenge against a particular performance. It served as a warning to the system. However, why did quiet on the court seem much louder than retaliation? Continue to observe. For all the commotion around Caitlin Clark's disappearance, there was quiet on her injuries. Fans were far more shocked by Sophie Cunningham's revelation than by her remarks on physique or partiality. In reality, nobody is aware of what is happening. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.